Hello and welcome back to the channel. Before we get started with today's video, we just wanted to give you a quick reminder to click the thumbs up button and to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and to our regular viewers, please keep those comments coming. We love to hear from you. Now, without further ado, on to today's adventure. Where we live in Cumbria, we're only a hop, skip and a jump away from at least 4 surrounding counties, all with something slightly different to offer. Today we're heading to County Durham, the land of the Prince Bishops. Our destination is about an hour away and we are really looking forward to this one. As we arrive, to our excitement, we are greeted by a young stag. This is the closest either of us have ever been. It was almost worth the journey just for this, but that's not what we came for. So today we're at Raby Castle, home to the famous or infamous Neville family from the 14th century to the 16th century. Later on, the 17th century, it was owned by the Vane family. So, let's go and explore the castle and delve into the lives of those who lived in it. Built by John Neville, 3rd Baron of Raby between 1367 and 1390, the House of Neville held this seat until the latter half of the 16th century. If you're a regular viewer, you'll know that most of the castles we visit are in ruins, so it leaves us awestruck that a building this old is still so complete and habitable. This is a truly impressive building. Apparently this is one of the earliest parts, the 14th century keep, and this would have been when the Nevilles were first here. Very interesting. The builders of this castle were, towards the end of the 14th century, becoming one of the most powerful families in the north of England. The aforementioned John Neville fought against the Scots at the Battle of Neville's Cross on the 17th of October 1346 and was knighted in 1360. In 1369 he was made a Knight of the Garter and in 1379 appointed Admiral of the North. John's son, Ralph Neville, was made the first Earl of Westmoreland in 1397 and a couple of years later given a lifetime appointment as Earl Marshal. Raby Castle continued to be the seat of the Neville family until 1569, when it was lost by Charles Neville, 6th Earl of Westmoreland. Imagine the scene. England is ruled by the Protestant Queen Elizabeth I, whilst much of the nobility in the north of the country are actually Roman Catholic, as was Mary, Queen of Scots. There was a view at this time by many Catholics that Mary had a legitimate claim to the English throne, and so, sitting in the Barons' Hall at Raby Castle, Charles Neville and Thomas Percy, 7th Earl of Northumberland, plotted the rising of the North. In November 1569, 700 soldiers, led by the Earls, assembled at Brancepeth Castle. Having occupied Durham, they held a Catholic Mass at the cathedral there before marching south to Bramham Moor. They also captured Barnard Castle, but following this struggled to gain popular support, and on the 13th of December 1569, with the prospect of facing an army of 10,000 men led by the Earl of Sussex, plus an extra 12,000 led by Baron Clinton, Neville and Percy were forced to retreat. Both escaped to Scotland, where Neville stayed for a lengthy time at Ferniehurst Castle in Roxburghshire. He eventually fled to Flanders in Europe and spent his years there living in poverty, his property having been confiscated by the Crown. He never saw his wife or children again and died penniless on the 16th of November 1601. This is perhaps why his ghost is said to be seen on the stairs leading to the Baron's Hall at Raby, looking angry. With good reason, I'd say. Raby Castle, having been confiscated from Neville, remained the property of the Crown for over 43 years before being purchased along with Barnard Castle and Long Newton by Sir Henry Vane the Elder for around £18,000. That's around 4 million in today's money. The House of Vane was responsible for much of the modernising of the castle, but perhaps the most famous, or should we say infamous, member of the family was known locally as the Old Hellcat of Raby. Elizabeth Vane, Lady Barnard, was married to Christopher Vane, 1st Baron Barnard. She was, by all accounts, the epitome of a spoilt, entitled aristocrat with a very hot temper. In 1714, Gilbert, the eldest son of Elizabeth and Christopher, announced that he wished to marry Mary, the daughter of an MP. Merely a wealthy commoner and not an aristocrat. Elizabeth and Christopher were absolutely furious and vehemently opposed the marriage. Not satisfied with merely vocally expressing their outrage or simply cutting their son off from his inheritance, they set about vindictively destroying Raby Castle. They allegedly employed 200 workmen to strip the castle of its lead, glass doors and furniture. Woodlands were cut down, deer slaughtered, household goods either sold or burned on a huge bonfire. They didn't get away with it, however. Gilbert took them to court and won. They were ordered to cease and desist, and a rebuilding program commenced. Local legend has it that Elizabeth never recovered from her fury and proceeded to take this out on her neighbours, consequently earning her the nickname of the Old Hellcat of Raby. It is said that her furious ghost is still spotted pacing back and forth on the battlements, knitting with red-hot needles. So this apparently was the Raby Castle State Coach. Jelly molds, thousands of them. Charles Neville and Elizabeth Vane aren't the only ghosts to have been spotted at Raby, though. There is the tale of a gentleman in the library, writing at the desk, with his disembodied head dictating to him from its place on top of the desk. We have no idea who that might have been. A horseman is also apparently seen riding up to the gatehouse before disappearing into thin air. Whilst we were there, one of the stewards told us of a small child that was witnessed with a family heading up to the blue bedroom, but not returning with them. When the family were asked about the child, they had no idea who the steward was referring to. Further searching revealed this child had simply disappeared. Strangely, whilst we were in the same area of the castle, we conducted our own mini paranormal investigation using an EMF meter. Holding the meter at around the height of a small child's head, we asked some questions and the meter lit up several times. Mysteriously though, the footage we made of this event completely disappeared from our hard drive. We have no explanation for this. We will let you draw your own conclusions. Thanks for watching again, and for your continued support. See you all next time.